So I want to go over what we talked about last week, just to recap before the quiz, which was how we structure a workout. And so we do, oh balls, hopefully nobody clips that, the reverse pyramid, right? Where the top one is going to be the main lift, and it can be normally your big four: bench, squat, deadlift, or overhead press. So for today it was bench. I know I did a different version today, but the way it was written it was that. And then you have a second, wait for it, dairy. Also called like a fundamental or foundational lift. And for today that was bent over row, which is going to be some kind of slightly regressed version. And so another good variation for this would be like if we were to do leg day, which actually, you know what? That's what I am going to talk about today. So, and then the next would be accessories. I'm not going to spell all that out, but for us today it was like incline fly. And then normally some type of core, and then you have your your warm up and then cool down. And so that is the overarching reverse pyramid, patent pending, trademark pending philosophy that I use to create a program or to create a workout. So now how do we make this expand beyond just a singular workout? I'll explain that here in a second. Yes, I do. I want Bird to become my videographer. And so let me grab my book since I actually did all this. So again, actually the one thing I do want to put into this book, or make as as a separate, that's not in this book, is how we actually create the workouts, like how I actually program. I was thinking about it like a DM's exercise workshop or something like that. Like how they have the DM's workshop in the DM's guide, the DMG. And so let's bust this out just like we are now. And so we're doing a 4-day split, right? So we're gonna do, this is how you create a 4-day split. That says split. So we're doing upper, lower, and then upper, lower. Lower. So you can do different types of splits. I'm not saying upper lower is what you need to do, but I personally like doing upper lower the most because I'll explain why as we progress. Am I missing anything? No. Cool. So upper one. Remember how we got the reverse pyramid? I'll put that there. Remember the main, secondary, accessory, we'll say, and then core. You can't see any of that, but we'll just put that there as a reminder. So the first thing on first exercise on every day, that is our main lift. And we already talked about what those were. Class, do we know? Good. Bench, squat, overhead press, and dead lift. Those are my main 4. Those are what I like to kind of center each workout around. And so we did a push here. So naturally we want to do a pull exercise, exactly. So for that, today was bent over row. And for this one, we would do pull up. Which you could also do lat pull downs if you're at the gym, which I don't have a gym. Yeah, there you go. I don't have a lat pull down machine. So then next is going to be some type of accessory, which we already did, incline fly. And for this one, we did another row, so single arm. This is the same workout that we did the last Thursday. Single arm, bent over row, and that's with the dumbbell over on the bench pulling. And so we have 2 presses and a pull, and then we have 2 pulls and a press. If you are doing pull-ups and your goal is to increase your pull-up game, you can put this here in front of the overhead press. But again, it's like the DM's rule, you know, it's your table, you can do what you want. I do that sometimes. You can also superset these two. We do them at the same time. Well, do them back to back and then rest. You can do that. And then bis and tris. Well, I'll write it out. We'll do skulls with seated curls. We'll just do curls. And then core. So I haven't touched on core yet, so we'll just leave it as a generic core. I do have the pulley system, Bird. You said I thought you have the cables for the pulley system. Yes, I do have a pulley system that goes on top of my pull-up bar, but it is really annoying to set up, and I haven't. Actually, the last time I used it was to hang up these boards because I'm, you know, think smarter, not harder type situation. And so we'll also do bis and tris here, which if we did skulls and curls, we can do like easy bar curls and then overhead extension. Boom, just like that. And so bis and tris, and then core. And so you can see how these two workouts kind of complement each other. So where you have main push, this is also a main push, but you can do a main pull here with your pull-ups. And then we have a pull and a push, and then we have a pull and a push there. And then bis and tris, and then core there. And that is a pretty solid, you know, 30 to 45 minute workout depending on how fast you are. And I always do everything 3 by 10 for the most part. The only exception to that are the main lifts where I might go heavier, lower reps. And so let's do leg day. I like to do them at the same time because it allows me to complement each other back and forth. And we will do that here. So we'll do leg day. Barbell squat, we already talked about that. And then RDLs, Romanian deadlifts. We did these, I think we did them on Tuesday last week. Yeah, we did because we did regular deadlift here. And so RDLs is a good regressed version of a deadlift. And so that is a good secondary foundational lift to do that. And then this one we did dumbbell front squat. I don't know if you guys can actually read the board anyway, but that's dumbbell front squat. You can do regular front squat with a barbell. There's actually a lot of squat variations that you can do. Last week I did goblet squat where I just held one dumbbell in my chest and I did goblet squat there. I was actually talking to somebody on Instagram. They were talking about how you can do rear heel elevated squats. You can absolutely do that. It's really good to do with like a goblet where you have your feet closer together, heels under heels on like a 2x4, like what we use for calf raises, and then hold it tight to your chest and then do a nice squat. You get a really good burn in the quads there. And then next is, so in this it says leg extension, but we don't have a leg extension. So we can do reverse lunges. And for that, you can do dumbbell, you can do body weight. You can do a very progress version and do barbell on your back, so weight on your back. I like doing either dumbbell or body weight. I think last week I did body weight. And then since this is a lunge, moving forward and forward or backward on the same plane, not going up and down, we can do step ups here, so we're adding elevation, or we can do side lunges. If we decided to do front lunges and to contrast reverse lunges, that's very similar, and so I would rather do a step up or a side lunge. And so for this we'll do step ups. Actually, I don't even know if that's what I put. I put reverse lunges there because I did leg extension leg there. If you did have a gym, leg extension, leg curls, totally good options there. And then we did standing calf raises, standing calf, and then we did seated calf. Because like we talked about last week, there's two different calf muscles, and your soleus gets hit a little bit more, it gets a little bit more emphasis when doing seated versus standing. I don't necessarily think the change is huge or dramatic, but it's worth having a little bit of variation there. Plus doing standing calf raises 2 days in a row, or 2 days in a week, can get monotonous. So I like adding variety there. And then you can do core. And core. Good. So one thing that I do with a client is we will do arms. Oops. So instead of core, actually he does core too. But we'll do arms, day long, and then here. So now you're thinking, why would you do arms on a leg day? And the answer is because my client asked for it. He wanted to do a little bit more arm work, and he hated lower body. So when you do arms, it makes that go from negative to slightly positive, to where it's more neutral. And there's no rules. Again, we're the DMs, we're the master of our own domains. So you can create the workouts however you want, as long as you get them done and they don't hurt you. So that is how I do a normal, I call it a mesocycle, but how I would do a normal 4-day week. Can you talk about creatine real quick and why it's so beneficial? Great question that I did not actually come up with myself. Yes, so let me finish this thought. So this is what you would call a mesocycle, a training block, whatever you want to call it. You could easily do this for, like I said, 4 weeks. I don't normally change workouts for at least 4 weeks. For some of my clients, longer. Like I said, newbie gains, you can do the same shit for 12 weeks and still see great results. 3x10, I will do heavier weights for these 4 main lifts, and then 3x10 for the accessories. And so, how you would change this moving forward, rough TLDR, change the reps for the main 4. So instead of going like 3x5, do like 4x6 or 3x8, 3x10, you can work your way up or down the rep ladder there. And then swap out these exercises. So instead of barbell RDL, you can do dumbbell RDL or single leg dumbbell RDL. You could do glute bridges. You can do, again, instead of barbell bent over row, you can do double arm dumbbell bent over row. Instead of incline fly, do flat fly. So there's a lot of like micro changes that you can make to really add a lot of variety there while still following the reverse pyramid method. So cool. Give me hearts in the chat if you like that.